Give it up for Boulder. It's January of this past year, about 8. How's that? Let's restart the clock. Again, it's January of this year, about 8 a.m., snowing, Wednesday morning. I have my arms wrapped around Ron. If my arms were not wrapped around Ron, he would have fallen into the snow and just lain there in a parking lot. Ron is my father, a person who I have never liked. Last time I ever had my arms around him, I was maybe 5 years old. I'm carrying him into the hospital at UMass Med Center in Worcester. Why am I doing this? This is not anything. I've basically become a primary caregiver. Why? For a man who, not out of affection, not even out of fondness. It took me a while. It was actually my husband, Andrew, who actually put the words to it. It's because I really cannot see anybody robbed of their dignity, so I had to do it. Anyhow, this story, it gets better. It does. But we go through emergency rooms and hospital beds and 3 days in a coma, strings of doctors and nurses and physical therapists and family meetings with my siblings where we talk about long-term care and possible end-of-life decisions and so on. It gets better, I swear. He eventually lands in a short-term rehab. He's recovered to the point where he's very childlike, but awake. And he's climbing the walls like any kid would. I've got to get him out of there for a little while. What does he want to do? Well, he wants to go to his favorite place on earth, the King Buffet in Fitchburg, Mass. And he tells me about his system. He's always had a system. We get to the King Buffet, and he's standing back, just perusing the steam tables, rubbing his fingers on the sneeze guards. I'm sitting quietly at my table, hoping he makes it back. Does he remember what to do? He comes back with his overloaded plate that's all part of the system, eats his way slowly through, down to the very last grain of rice. And then the waitress shows up at the table with the check and a fortune cookie for each one of us. And he looks up at her. And he says, I have 3 girls. Same on her part. She's like, no. I have 3 girls. Okay. She leaves. She comes back with 3 more fortune cookies. We find our way out of the King Buffet in Fitchburg, Mass, back to the car where Ron is sitting in his seat looking at the cookies and looking at me. And I'm like, okay, what was that all about? Well, I have a system. Anytime I go in there, I tell them about my 3 girls, my 3 granddaughters. He does have 3 granddaughters, that's true. And how much they love fortune cookies. So I always get to leave with extra fortune cookies. It was as part of his system. So we're taking a long drive back from Pittsburgh to Worcester. The snow is just about ending, and Ron is clutching the fortune cookies. He looks at me, looks at the fortune cookies, looks at me, looks at the fortune cookies, looks at the car window, puts it down, throws them out, and says, I always hated those fucking things.